Hi Year 10, hope you're all well. Here I am just putting together another lesson for you, and I just thought I'd try and make it as quick as I can. I know that the work I've already set, which I'll talk about in a second, to do first would have taken you a few minutes of watching videos and that. I think it's probably the best way of us sort of exploring the play, as I'm not able to be there with you and we're not able to read it together as we would normally. Hopefully very soon this week you may have already, if not you should soon, receive a revision guide sent in the post to you with Macbeth, and it should have a copy of the play inside of it as well, just to help you. I know I've put those on the videos as well, but for some of you might actually just want to follow along, and that would be really useful. And it's got lots of extra notes because the videos have only got so much time to talk about things. So anyway, this lesson from this point relies on you having first watched my videos which I set for Act 1, Scene 5, Scene 6 and Scene 7. Scene 5 and 7 are really, really important scenes. Scene 6 is sort of relatively important, it sort of sets things up a little bit, but mainly 5 and 7, there will be really useful quotes there. I strongly would encourage you, but I use the word encourage knowing that some of you won't. So I'll just say you must be writing down quotes as you watch those videos as well, and writing things down. Some of you are, which is just brilliant, and some of you, your notes show that you're not. So those of you who are not, you need to. Those of you who are, you're awesome. And I very much look forward to giving you lots of praise and you getting really good GCSE grades next year, because I know I've always said this before, I've done this job for a few years now, and I can promise you, those of you who are doing that sort of work, you're going to get really good grades. And those of you who are just trying to do the quickest, smallest amount that you possibly can, you're not going to, and you're going to be really stressed next year because of it. So anyway, stop rabbiting on Mr. Johnson. I bet that was like a nice little taster of a normal lesson for you. And let's get going. The title for your work today I've put on the screen at the top there. So it's Macbeth Act 1 Scenes 5 and 7. So we did look at Scene 6, but it's not too important. Task number 1, which you're going to want to pause this video to do in a second for me. Draw a picture of Lady Macbeth and label her with quotes from Act 1 Scene 5 and 7. Leave more room for quotes from other parts of the play is my note to you. She appears all through this play and we want to leave room to add notes to her page, so that's it. So don't make your drawing massive. I didn't get time, I'm sad to say, to do a drawing, a piece of artwork for you today, but there'll be more in the future, I promise you that. So pause this video and you're going to need to go back to your notes or to those videos to add quotes for Lady Macbeth. Some of those I highlighted on the videos for you, but it would be even better for you to choose some of your own quotes to go with those as well. So I'm going to go quiet for you a few seconds, which is your hint to pause this video and have a go at that task number 1, please. Okay, let's move on then to this. So task number 2 then, what does Shakespeare want us to think about Lady Macbeth? I really want you to consider this carefully, and I'll go through my notes in a second, but she's a really interesting character and she is one of the main characters. It is very likely you will get asked a GCSE question, possibly about her, and they're essay-like questions where you're given one question and you have to sort of present a number of ideas. We'll practice that more next year when we're back. But as I say there, what does he want us to think about her? Well, think about how she came across in Act 1, Scene 5 when she was there, like talking about the raven and make thick my blood and come ye mortals, unsex me here, and all of this really dangerous, devious and dark stuff that she says. Therefore, these sentence starters in the blue box are for you to finish and add as much detail as you can, please. Shakespeare presents, I'll tell you some of the ideas as well, by the way. Shakespeare presents Lady Macbeth as very dangerous, dark, unusual, perhaps you could say, very unstereotypical for a woman at that time, maybe, but also have that maybe and the idea of very dark and dangerous, or maybe sort of unsettling would be a good word there as well. The Jacobean audience, now that's the name for the people at this time, they were the Jacobeans. So the Jacobean audience would have been shocked by how you need to name something that she does there. So it's like how she uses dark imagery or almost creates a spell. She doesn't literally make a spell, but it's almost like she is creating or casting a spell when she says, "Come, ye spirits," which almost suggests that, I don't know, don't just write she is evil, but she is maybe someone to be aware of. She is somebody who we can't trust. Those could be 2 ideas. Excuse me. The final one there is quite literally something for you to copy down. Shakespeare perhaps wants to show us the ambition she has and how dangerous it is to crave power, because she is a dangerous character and clearly seems quite threatening as well. So those are the things I want to do there, but just before I pause or ask you to pause this, I'm going to give you your keyword for today and your little picture for today as well. Your keyword for today is dagger. because that comes up very shortly in the play. Dagger, D-A-G-G-E-R, write that at the top of your page. And please draw me a picture of a dagger. If you don't know what a dagger is, Google it. I think most of you probably do, but that's your little thing for today. And I'm going to go quiet now, allow you a few seconds to pause this video and have a go at those activities on the screen, please. Right, that's presuming you've had a go at that. Right, this comes up in Act 1, Scene 7, and while I talked about it in the other video, I wanted to go into it a little bit more detail, because we have the cat in the adage, and those apostrophes show missing letters, so it's the cat in the adage, but it almost like flowed together, which is why Shakespeare wrote it with those apostrophes. The cat in the adage. You might be wondering, what on earth is that talking about? So an adage, or a proverb is another word you might have heard of. It's a short statement that captures like a general truth or gives advice. For example, these are some examples of adages. The early bird catches the worm, for example, meaning like people who are early generally get the best prizes. Further down, a leopard doesn't change its spots. You can't change what you appear on the outside as what you are on the inside. I don't know. Like father, like son means sort of people, you know, the son will be very much acting like the father is, or a child is very much like their parent. These are sort of little statements which capture a bigger truth. So it's not just about birds catching worms, it's about people being early. They're almost metaphors in some way. With that in mind then, this is the adage which Lady Macbeth uses. She says about her husband, you're like the cat, she says like the cat in the adage, which means the cat loves fish but does not like to wet her paws. That is the adage to which Lady Macbeth is referring to. Now I just wanted to explain that in a little bit more detail. Normally I'd get you to discuss it on tables, but as you can't do that, the cat loves fish but does not want to wet her paws. Macbeth loves the idea of being king rather than fish, but does not like to wet her paws, but doesn't want to do the evil things which he would need to do to wet his paws, to get his hands bloody in this sense as well. So it's just something I wanted to point out to you, and it's worth please writing that down in your notes now. The better your notes are, the easier GCSE is going to be for you, and the less hard revision you're going to have to do because you've already done the work now. So writing that down and explaining what it means. I didn't actually write that as a task, but I want to see that in your work, please. And I'm just going to go quiet for a few seconds to let you pause and do that for me, writing down that adage and put it into your own words of how it links to Macbeth. Right. Wanted to point out what a soliloquy is here as well. This is something you could write down as I'm talking. Get your pen back in your hand. I'll give you a few seconds there. A soliloquy. Soliloquy is where an actor speaks their thoughts to the audience. There are generally no other characters on stage, and it lets us hear what they are thinking, and it lets us know what they are going to do. So in some ways it links to that phrase dramatic irony, because when they tell us what they're thinking, we know something that other characters don't know. But a soliloquy is key because they happen frequently in this play. Lady Macbeth did a soliloquy in Act 1, Scene 5. Lady Macbeth, does a soliloquy at the start of Act 1, Scene 7. So we've already seen 2 soliloquies, and there are other really important ones coming up. And it's just important for you to understand that word soliloquy, which I've said so quickly it sounds quite funny. Soliloquy, soliloquy, soliloquy. You try saying it. No one's there, are they? They can't hear you. Right, let's move on then. What it reveals to the audience, I've just said, it reveals at the bottom there, it reveals their thoughts and reveals their actions and their intentions of what they're going to be doing next. So here's task number 2, is it? I thought it was, no, should we say task 3? Sorry, that says task 2. It's meant to say task 3. What does Shakespeare reveal about the relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth in this scene? I've put some key words there to help you answer. So the relationship between these 2 characters, they are equals. I think that's important to say, but it's got quite a dangerous relationship. She's quite manipulative towards him. They're both very deceptive, sort of appearing as one thing to the king, but are willing to say and going to do another. Think about that line, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. I won't go on too much longer. I'd like to see 3 or 4 lines in that answer, and not much more, because you've done a lot of work today, and you've done well if you've gone through all these tasks, and I want to make this video less than 10 minutes. So that's what those things are there to help you. The things on the second part of that blue box just maybe are like the bigger messages of the play. Like if we give into temptation, we could sort of end up going to prison, or could end up sort of going to hell as a key theme, which I'm going to explore later in this teaching. Anyway, I'm going to go quiet so I can actually let you have a go and do this video in less than 10 minutes. thanks for watching all the way through. You've had your keyword, and I will speak to you again at some point next week. I hope you have a very nice weekend. Thanks, Year 10. Goodbye.